Let's talk about starting your YouTube channel when you're already past 50. This is Tina. I'm 75, and I started my YouTube channel. I didn't even quite realize this till yesterday when I was really looking through it. I was about 60 when I started my YouTube channel. Yeah, that's 15 years ago. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I posted a few things about copywriting, that type of thing. They went really well without really knowing what I was doing. I had 6, 7, 800 views of these short videos. But again, I really didn't know what I was doing. So I did it for a little while as a marketing minute kind of deal. And then I stopped. And when I look back at those videos, a lot of them don't even have a description on them or anything. I really didn't know what I was doing. I'm not even sure how I accomplished that at that point. So then I took a big long break from YouTube. I was on all the other social media channels doing my thing, and I just completely ignored YouTube because I think I had the perception that it's for young people that are doing crazy stuff and all of that. So then around 2000, so I was still in my late 60s, I started up again. And this time I really got serious about posting a lot of short videos. Now, this was before shorts even existed. So I have a lot of videos that were like 2.5 minutes long, 3 minutes long, but they were horizontal because we didn't have shorts. And that was just the only way to do the videos. And they did pretty well for people seeing them. But again, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any big description that really defined anything. Did it for a little while. And guess what? I stopped again. Okay. So that's twice now that I've stopped. So then in 2025, more towards fall of last year, I decided I was going to restart YouTube. That I was really actually partly out of survival, I think, because I was really sick of the other channels and the other social media channels. And so I started up again. I had actually tried some advice from someone before, and it was really confusing, and I never really got anywhere with it. So I tried one more time paying somebody to help me with it. And they told me that I needed to completely stop my original channel, called the old channel at that point, and start a brand new channel with something different on it. And okay, I really didn't know. So I decided I'd try and do that. And I started the new channel. And without going into all the gory details, something went completely sideways in this process. And I, at that point, lost my new channel. I had about 40 videos on it. I was starting to get some subscribers. I think I had maybe 50, something like that. And I completely lost it. And I had been working really hard to try to understand what to do with YouTube, how to do all the things, and I lost it. And so I was still in the middle of this thing I was paying for. So rather than do nothing, I decided I'm going to revive the older channel. Now, I had told this individual that I was going to keep the first channel, and they were making fun of me, even on group calls. Oh, yeah, you've got 2 channels, this kind of stuff. It's a good thing I did, because that's what my fallback position was, to go back to the original channel. Along the way, I actually was able with YouTube to restore my new channel. That's another story for another day. But I just decided that I had so much content on the original channel that I was just going to carry on, right? And so that's what I've been doing. And over these last, I don't know, a couple of months, I got really much more serious about it about a month ago, about the consistency. And as I have learned more and more without paying someone to teach me, I got more and more dialed into the power of YouTube and why we should all be using it. And this is like the golden hour for those of us in this age category. If you're past 50, it's not too late. And it's actually, I said this before, the old adage about the best time to plant an oak tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is right now. In this case, 20 years ago probably wasn't the best time to start with YouTube, and it is right now, because so many things are changing in our favor, which I'm going to tell you about. Just stick with me on this video today, because this really isn't about being young and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Actually, the people that are in the category of, quote, entertainment on YouTube, a lot of them are falling by the wayside because they can't keep up with it. And it's not sustainable. Don't do that. I'm just going to say right off, don't do that. When we talk about being more like in the sense of educational and sharing real solid information, that type of thing, that puts us in a category that has a lot more sustainability and scale and endurance for over years. And I'm going to tell you how I'm noticing that right this very minute. Because the thing is, now in 2026, trust is the economy. Being able to also show your expertise, but also to establish that feeling of trust, that connection, that you're reliable, that you're going to show up for somebody. And trust is something you earn over time. No one just hands it to you. And sometimes we do hand over trust way too easily. And I've talked about that in the past as well, and how that can really get you into trouble. So earning the trust, that's the thing. So today I'm going to talk about 5 reasons that you should be starting your YouTube channel if you haven't already, or if you need to revive it like I'm doing and you're past 50, now is the time. Because here's the thing. Number 1, people trust lived experience now, not hype, not trends, not even perfect lighting. Mine's probably not. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't standing in shadows here. But they trust real stories. They trust real scars, the things we've all been through. They trust real wins, not just made up, I'm draped over my Lamborghini in front of this mansion that I rented for the day for the photo shoot kind of deal. And real mistakes. I'm probably going to make some on this. I've already stumbled a couple times, but just keep going, right? And believe me, I don't have a team. That's probably obvious that I don't have anybody editing my videos. It's just whatever simple things I can do to them. So you don't have to start in any fancy way whatsoever. If you have a phone, I don't have my phone sitting over there, so I can't hold it up. A smartphone, laptop, or a desktop, some kind of light, even if it's from a window. If you're facing natural light and it's on your face, not behind you, but facing you, then that's enough to get started. So YouTube is shifting from being relatable, I can relate to this person, to reliable. Oh, this person shows up for me on a regular basis. And we're talking about really just walking the proof that you're reliable, walking the walk. You've lived things that you can't find necessarily on Google. Your experience, those subtle nuances, those insights, the things that you've come more and more into your own with over time, that you can't package that into here, you're going to have it all by the time you're 30. No, you probably are a lot wiser now at 50, 60, 70 and beyond than you were when you were 30. And you have more patience, more insight, more time possibly to just give consideration to some of those things. And so here's the thing. Now is our time, because one of the things that I teach is copywriting, and a lot of things happened when AI came onto the scene. Now, I started off as a skeptic. I started learning ChatGPT. I became very excited about what you could do with ChatGPT. But other things happened over these past few years with the advent of AI. And one of them is that a lot of companies and things let people go. They thought, oh, all this creative stuff can be done by AI. We don't need people anymore. And now they're finding out, and I've got the stats to back it up, they're finding out in massive numbers that was a huge mistake, because AI can't give the lived experience. It doesn't have the heart, the soul, the emotion, the emotional intelligence. It doesn't have that human factor. It just doesn't have. Now, it can help us, and we can use it to move more quickly, to have things be easier to do, to accomplish more in less time without a team. I used to have a team. Now I don't have a team because I do it myself because of the help of AI. But that one thing, that human experience that you have in your late Gen X or your baby boomer, we put ourselves in categories I like to call us perennials, that we're going to keep blooming, keep growing, keep evolving, and keep on. And that we're in that category, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. My oldest client was in her 90s. That alone makes your voice valuable. That alone, not being cute, not being clever. And if you spend any time on YouTube, you're probably noticing there is definitely something happening with a shift of much older influencers, shall we say, content creators that are showing up on YouTube and doing very well with their channels. And some of these people are in their anywhere, but I'm saying 50s, 60s, 70s, quite a few that are in their 80s. There's some that are in their 90s that are doing YouTube. And so this is something enduring. So that's the first thing. Now is your time, because we bring that real experience, that real proof of life, real life. Number 2, YouTube is a findability engine, not a fame contest. Now, YouTube is actually the second biggest search engine in the world, back only second to Google. And guess who owns YouTube? Okay. So it's one big, massive machine that can find you. And this is the part that a lot of people are missing right now. You're not posting for views. We're not just posting for likes and views. You know, we've seen that happen, but we're posting so you can be found, the findability factor. And I've been testing this, and I only really just realized the context of this and how this works. When we talk about AI, we talk about they're all something called a large language model. I'm going to go tiny bit techie just for a minute. And believe me, I'm not a techie, but I had to learn these things. And that's an LLM. That's what they're called. They can search. Also, the AI LLMs, large language models, can search. And so we combine that with Google. And when you are showing up, remember the two biggest search engines in the world, right? That's how people can find you without you running ads, without you. I promise you, if you search for stuff you've posted on Facebook, for example, for years, it is probably not going to show up. Could be the same with LinkedIn. But I had one video I did 1 day ago, 1 day ago. And so just out of curiosity, I just did a search for it in Google, not in YouTube, in Google for the topic. And I showed up on the first page. My video showed up on the first page in 1 day. Okay. Regular SEO, organic search. Okay, I'll just get found eventually. It can take months, if not years, to get any traction with that. Right now, you can get that kind of traction at some level in as little as a day if you know what you're doing with how you're putting this together and you're talking about your thing. And I'll tell you why that's a big deal also in just a second here. But that findability factor is how YouTube becomes the top of your, if you want to have a business, if you want to make some money, that's at the top. That this is your starting point. And it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything. You can start with just the light and the camera and the computer and just learning as you go. Yeah, is it going to be messy at first? Yeah, you maybe mess up on some of them. Yeah, you have some that are really not great. Yeah, okay. But here's the reason to be doing video. Even if you think, oh, I'm so afraid to talk to a camera, you can get over that. First of all, I did. You can too. And I still can feel some of those wibble wobble sometimes and do it anyway. Okay. Because YouTube now, it used to just be, okay, what's on the thumbnail? What's the title? And just the algorithms looking for that. But now it can, quote, watch your videos. The AI algorithm can listen to what you're saying and capture those words, put the meaning on it. The AI is very good at seeing patterns. It starts to see the patterns, what your topics are, what are the things you're talking about, and thoughtful content gets found. And you could probably be getting found on a much more regular basis with putting some thought into this within 30 to 60 days on a much bigger scale. But like I said, I've tested this for myself just in the last couple of weeks, and I found myself being referred and recommended. Basically, it's like getting a recommendation from one of the large language models. I found myself there's a site called Perplexity that's basically for doing deep research on things. Very excellent. There's a free level, you can do research with it. And so I did some research on a couple of key words that I had said, the topic, and I showed up. I put it all in a document that I don't have it here to do the screen share right now, but I showed up in Perplexity. Yesterday, I showed up just in a Google search. And so you can be found by Google, by YouTube search, and now the large language models. That means your channel becomes your digital fingerprint. And you've already, again, I'm seeing this happen already, just literally in 24 hours. Really blew my mind, just blew my mind. I was like, oh, my husband's like, what? He thinks this is something terrible is happening. He said, it found me that fast. And that's not luck. That's infrastructure. That's making a platform, a plan for how you're going to move forward when you start your YouTube channel, even if you're already past 50, because these are the things that these models are looking for. They want your expertise. And we call it authority. And that doesn't mean in some harsh way. It means that just by speaking knowledgeably about whatever your thing is, it could be flower arranging, it could be dog training, it could be childcare, it could be keto ways of eating, anything, right? There's someone out there looking for that thing. I saw a community that's been started lately on how to hold your breath longer. Okay, don't hold your breath. Oh, wait a minute. In this case, yeah, do. I haven't looked at it, but I thought there's something for everybody. There is a niche market for everybody. And while we're at it, let's talk about, is it niche like itch? Or is it niche like quiche? I have the worst time with this. I really hate this word pronunciation confusion. I tend, and they're both correct. I'll just say that right off. Niche sounds French, like a quiche and romantic, don't you think? But niche is we mean business. I have an itch and I have a niche. And I think the reason I gravitate to niche naturally, there's that alliteration, nicely, nichely, naturally, is because we lived in Mexico for a few years. And one of the things I loved in the walls and the showers, they build these little alcoves that you can put things in called nichos and niche. I'm going to say niche. All right. So if you object, you can put it in the comments. And I have tried niche a few times, but it doesn't feel natural. So I'm going to say niche. Okay. Number 3, you already own a really rare asset, and that's clarity. Now, maybe you don't feel like that right now. Oh, sure. I'm feeling pretty confused right now about YouTube. But really, when you go down a few more layers, you've got a lot of clarity about life, a lot of clarity about what's right, what your values are, what means something to you, what you've accomplished, what you haven't accomplished, what's still missing, what you haven't done yet. You have some clarity on those kinds of things. And you know when you feel like yourself when you're talking. You probably know that already, or when you're trying to keep it all together for somebody else. And a lot of times young creators are still searching for that, still looking for that voice. They don't really have that dialed in yet. And we've earned ours through blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of years. We've earned that. And you do know what matters. You know what doesn't matter. You know what you stand for. And you know what you're not going to waste time on anymore. And we know the meaning of that kind of funny little term, but it's true, of I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. Just do the thing. If you have to say, whoops, later, okay, but we're not going to wait around for somebody to anoint us and give us permission, right? I do have a magic wand. Again, it's at my other desk, so I can't really wave it at you right now. But if we need to, we can do that. So this saves years because your channel gets to start with depth instead of noise, okay? Number 4, monetization. Oh my gosh, it's the M word. Now, I got to tell you, I do reach a point of just really about some of the folks on YouTube that are like, I don't care anything about making any money. I'm just doing this for the love of it. That's it. I just don't care. And I say, horse feathers. I don't think I've ever said that, but I'm saying it today. Horse feathers. Because most of us need money. And as we're getting older and have Social Security and prices are going up and eggs are $1 million a dozen and all of these things, we need money, right? And so it's not a dirty word. and you have earned the right to be compensated for your expertise, for your willingness to show up, for your experience, your wisdom, your all of it. You deserve to be making some money from that. And here's the good news. Monetization does not require a big channel anymore. I think all of us that are on YouTube are wondering if we're ever going to have one of these viral videos and all of a sudden I've got 300,000 views, this kind of thing. I'm going to get monetized. And because on YouTube, you have to have 4,000 watch hours in a year. That sounds easier than it is. That is not so easy to get. It's easier, I think, to get the 1,000 subscribers that you have to have. I think it's 1,000. And I've got about 1,500 and something. But I don't have 4,000 watch hours. And you don't have to have huge views in all your videos either. I know of people that just have 100 views, 200 views, which is considered, it's okay. That's like what mine are doing right now. But they're not making, that alone doesn't make money, okay? But I know people that have that and are making the money, because this is a myth that we're here to break, that you have to have a big channel and have to really hit it big. It's no longer get 100,000 subs or you failed. It's build trust, then guide people to what helps them. And I've noticed on a lot of folks on YouTube that are in our age category that are coming into this, oh, you mean I could do that? I have a little head start on that because I've been in marketing online for 21 years, but I still had to understand how you could connect that to YouTube. You can have courses, you can have coaching programs, you can have communities that are private communities that people pay something to be in. All of this and more works without viral numbers. And you've already got experience in something. And for example, I train people on how to take your expertise and turn it into something that's monetizable. This is how we get our sovereignty with taking care of ourselves, providing for ourselves for the future, creating the kind of life we truly want, not just settling for crumbs, or I guess I'm going to have to learn to live on this tinier amount of money or whatever, because things are changing as I get older. And I've experienced that for sure. When you're, for years, I was the oldest person in the room. When I go to masterminds or anything to do with online things I was doing, I'd be the oldest one there very frequently. Actually, it was more the norm than anything else, because remember, I didn't even start online till I was 53, 54, right in that age range. I was on my way to mid 50s. And so when I see people starting in their 50s, oh, you're young, you have so much time. And but the thing is, I just in the last few weeks have crossed the 4-figure mark. Now, that may not sound like a lot to big deal marketers and all that. And at one point, honestly, in my journey online, I didn't think that was a lot either. But I've come to really appreciate that making 500 or 900 or $1,000 from your YouTube channel over the course of a few weeks is a gift, a blessing, a bonanza, a thing to celebrate, a thing to be grateful for. And that it's possible, that it is entirely possible. I've already crossed that mark. I've proven that to myself, that it's not a fantasy, because I think I thought that you had to have the big giant channel. You had to have the great big giant response. And it'll be amazing if that ever happens. I don't know if it's going to or not, because it takes time. But this is how we can short circuit that timeline. And here's the other amazing thing about YouTube. All of that is free. You tell me what other social media platform you have this much leeway on, where you can totally, within reason, okay, express yourself through video, and be able then in the description, be able to have links to something else, links to a website if you have it, a link to a program that you might be developing, a link to a free thing you're going to give away so you can build an email list, a link to coaching. And so you're able to do all of these things and more with YouTube. If you're on LinkedIn or Facebook and you want to put a link to something, good luck with that. Your reach is just cut down to nothing. Hardly anybody's responding. LinkedIn, I just saw the stat the other day, has lost 65% in 2025 of the reach of organic marketing. It's reduced by 65%. I've had programs for LinkedIn. I've taught people out of their LinkedIn About page, all of those things. But it's getting harder and harder. You can go on LinkedIn and find people that are very well known in their industry who have posted, and it's crickets chirping. And one like or nothing or hardly anything. And it's just this sort of game thing that you have to do on LinkedIn. That you got to post and go into people's comments and say other stuff. And I don't know about you, but I don't do any of that. And so with YouTube, the algorithm's going to help people find you, and you have the leeway to be able to build out a trusted path to something that you have. And if you don't have that yet, hey, you should be paying attention to my videos, because this is something that I talk about. And so number 5, you're not doing this for fun. It is fun. It can be fun. Yes, there's a lot of work that goes into it as well. But what I mentioned before, you're building sovereignty. Fun's great. I love fun. But this is bigger. This is bigger than just that. It's economic independence. It's creative independence. You can be very creative with all of this. And it's identity independence. It's what you believe about yourself. It's what you believe is true for you. It's who you really are. And this is part of what I teach, is remembering who you really are under all those layers, all that noise, what other people have said, what other people thought you were, what other people expected you to be, what you're supposed to be for somebody else, what you tried to be and didn't work out because it really wasn't who you are. All of those things. There's people with very successful YouTube channels that are really, I saw one the other day, I don't remember the name of it, but it's some kid that works like in a fast food place or retail store or whatever. It was, I'm just boring. Nothing's great about my life. He started talking about it on YouTube, and apparently it blew up. And he has this great following on YouTube because he's just talking about who he is. And here's the other thing. You're not waiting to be chosen by somebody else. Someone like that anointing thing I talked about. You are choosing yourself. You're choosing yourself. Okay. And that changes everything. I don't even know how long I've been talking. This might be a long video, because the thing is, YouTube is the path that can get you there. You can start off, and you don't have to have just one topic. That's the other thing. There's lots of gurus saying you have to have one niche. one topic. Don't talk about anything else. That happens all the time on LinkedIn. Oh my gosh, don't talk about anything else. You got to have the one thing. Everyone's going to be confused. Nobody's going to know any, that kind of thing. But you can have a premise, a mission, a calling, and then there's categories within it because that's real life. And so you have your basic, here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about having value when you're already past 50. I want to talk about how I help people who are past 50 be able to zero in on that experience that you have, your life experience, professional, whatever it may be, over 20, 30, 40 years or more, and how you turn that into something that someone will say, I would pay for that. And they will. And that's what I love. I love that. I've often called it in the past when I've worked with clients like niche envy. Someone was that I've taught in the past was commenting on one of my YouTube videos this week, and she was like, she's in the agricultural field, in the niche is agriculture, and she lives like Montana, someplace like that. And she was like, I love this thing you're teaching because I want to take this feeling kind of thing into this very hard and fast mentality that's very prominent in this industry. We can be, not to sound like AI, but the game changers, honestly, by opening people's eyes to what else is possible. Because that's the other thing about 2026, and I better save this for a separate video, and that's the feeling economy. People need to feel a certain way about your messaging and what you have, and how do they feel? What do they feel? So it isn't just buy this car because this is how the wheels turn and it will get you from point A to point B and it's got seat belts. Okay, great. But how does it make you feel to drive that car with the top down and the wind in your hair and know that you're just gliding down the road and reliving your youth or on your Route 66 trip or whatever? See, it's a feeling thing. That's a feeling thing. And it's really prominent now in 2026. So this brings us back to being over 50, because all these people that got rid of the creative people for their teams and stuff because they thought AI would do it for them are now going, oh my gosh, what do we do? And the other market, baby boomer, Gen X, our age category, they're the ones, I'll say we're the ones that have the disposable income, whatever that may be for each of us. But in the general scheme of things, that is the demographic that has the most spending power. And marketers don't know how to talk to that demographic because they're not in it, because they haven't walked that walk, because they haven't lived it. So they don't understand why pickleball is taking off at RV parks and why luxury RV parks are going to position in a certain way with spas and swimming classes and pickleball and things that are very lively, and they don't get it, right? But our category, we get it. We get it, all these different things of what we're concerned about. And so this is a market just waiting for your voice. That's what I'm really excited about, this kind of resurgence for copywriting, writing those words and speaking them, because you can write the words someone else is going to speak on their YouTube channel or in their video. See, anyway, I digress. There's another topic one I could talk about for a long time, and I will on another video. So I'm just challenging you today. If you don't have a YouTube channel already, why don't you? Now is the time, not 20 years ago, not 20 months ago, but right now. Now's the time. Seize the moment, see that opportunity, and begin. And just begin. And if you already have a channel that's been sitting dormant, don't cancel it. What I'm realizing is you can take videos that did well, and this is what I did yesterday. I spent half a day reviving some of my older videos and making a playlist for them that's going to be classics from 14 years ago. And that I had red hair. I didn't have glasses on. I look younger. And then I'm going to, instead of saying, oh, I can't use these because they're old now, or I'm old now, or whatever we say to ourselves, I'm reviving those and saying, this is still awesome content, because it is. If you want to learn copywriting from me, you can learn so many things just on my channel from these videos. They're still pertinent. And why do we need to know that? Because if this opened up something for you, then we need to understand how our messaging comes together, how AI can help us but not replace us, how we need to know exactly where we're going with that, and that we lead the way with the assistance of AI so we can do it even easier and faster and more effectively. That's it. So the next thing then is that learning how you do that in a way that people understand the value that you bring to the whole deal. That's what copywriting is. I got a video that will walk you through the beginning points, the foundational aspects, the enduring aspects that don't change about copywriting, which is basically getting paid to write. So if that's of interest to you, be sure you watch this next video that I'm suggesting. I want to thank you for being here today. I really look forward to hearing what you have to say about this and what you're thinking. Are you going to have a YouTube channel or not? What do you think? Scared to? Why not? Why are you? All of those things. Yeah, and I'd love to hear from you. I answer every comment. I read them all myself. And I thank you for spending some time with me today. This is Tina Lorenz. I'm here to tell you we're not done yet because it's never too late. And that's a fact. Until next time, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.